You've witnessed this scene before, but perhaps you don't even notice it now. People sitting together but ignoring one another while playing on their mobile devices. Scenes like this are common in places that used to be designed for socialization. What sort of impact does this kind of behavior have on us as a society and individuals? Are we addicted to our tech? Where do bad habits end and addictions begin? These are just a few of the questions we'll explore in this film. Are we all addicts? Do we have a real problem? And if so, what's the solution?
Every year, we as a society spend more and more time bound to our screens. This is a fact. Hard data, research, and personal experience shows us just how true this is. Why do we do this? Is it because it's easy to entertain ourselves? Is it because everyone else is doing it? Do we fear missing out? I was watching an interview with author and motivational speaker Simon Sinek, who said that if we wake up and look at our phones before saying good morning to our partners, that we're addicted to our tech. And I wondered, is that true? I mean, I've done that. It's hard to argue with some of the statistics. For example, in a 2015 survey, 35% of people said the first thing they think about when they wake up in the morning is their phone, and 50% of people said they couldn't go a day without their phone. Just like most people, I spend a lot of time on my devices. I recently clocked in at 10 hours of technology a day for work and fun, which is way more than I thought I'd been doing.
So I decided that as a part of this film, I'm going to be documenting a month-long experiment that I'm going to start today, the 1st of February. For this month, I'll be going on a digital detox. For me, that means no computer or mobile-based entertainment at all. So no social media, no internet video, no Netflix, no BuzzFeed, none of that. The only thing I'll be using my computer for is to respond to emails twice a day and then to study for my academic pursuits because I'm currently getting my master's in film. I'll also be restricting myself to only 2 TV shows a week, which pretty much just means 2 football matches a week, and then my phone will just be a phone. No texting, nothing. Just a phone. So in terms of functionality, it'll basically look a lot like this. So there are 3 questions I'm hoping to answer in this experiment. The first is, does my happiness increase or decrease as a result? Do I have mood swings? Do I get depressed? Do I feel liberated? Do I feel like I am free to do other things? The second question is, will my life become more or less complicated as a result of the experiment? Will I miss due dates or miss meetings, or will I even miss out at all? Is FOMO real, or is it just in my head? And the third question is, will my memory and attention span increase or decrease as a result of this digital detox? So will I have a better memory at the end, or will it remain the same? And this is the only one that I can really quantify. Last night before I started this whole experiment, I took a series of 4 tests based in memory that will help me analyze how I've progressed over this month or how I've remained the same. I'm going to take them again right before I start technology at the end of the month, and then I can compare the results and see how they stacked up. They aren't the same questions and answers, they'll be different, so we won't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's where I am. This is day 1. I'm already feeling it. I don't feel depressed or anything yet, but I do feel the need to reach out and grab my phone all the time, and I want to check things online, and I'm wondering what in the world I'm going to do with my free time this evening, because I don't have any idea. I mean, I've got books that I'm going to read. That's as far as I've thought. So we'll see how this goes.
I'm currently living in the UK to get my master's from the University of Reading. While doing my research for this film, I discovered that there are a number of experts in this field not far from my current home.
My name is Tessa. I'm the CEO of Street Scene Addiction Recovery, which is a residential facility for people suffering from addiction to drugs and alcohol and gambling and sex and all other manner of things. I've been doing that for 25 years and I am 28 years clean of a heroin addiction. I used heroin for about 10 years. I don't define digital addiction any differently to any other addiction. I see addiction as a particular issue, and what people choose to use is a separate thing. So people might choose to use drugs or alcohol or digital media or sex or self-harm or all sorts of other things. But addiction is really about the compulsive desire to change how you feel. The negative side effects with digital addiction are the same as anything else. Anybody that's in their life feels excluded. So partners and children and families and all this kind of stuff, anytime they're trying to communicate with a person who has digital addiction, they will just shut them off. They cannot make contact, so they start breaking down the relationships. And obviously the people who are being pushed aside start to get angry and frustrated, and this causes a lot of angst and stress, and it actually pushes the person further into their digital addiction.
After talking with Tessa and doing a bit more research, I found out a bit more about the nature of addiction itself. There are two main categories of addiction: substance addiction and behavioral addiction. Substance addiction is as it sounds. It's typically dependency that's been built up around a physically consumable item. This addiction can often have a negative effect on the addict's health. Behavioral addictions, on the other hand, are not directed at substances. Due to this, they don't often manifest themselves in physically obvious ways. The common link between these addictions is that they both usually arise from a need to escape something in the real world. Most experts agree that escapism is the key common thread where addiction is concerned. Avoidance, denial, these are the driving factors behind addiction.
So it's day 2. I kind of debated on whether or not I should even do one after day 2 because I didn't think that there would be much to talk about. Turns out there's plenty to talk about. I'm feeling okay though. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. I reach for my phone a lot and realize that there's nothing to look at. And I kind of hope that people aren't texting me, even though I told most of my close friends that I'm going to be doing this. But what really surprises me most is how much I miss Netflix and YouTube. Like, I miss them all the time, it seems like. Maybe not all the time, but anytime I get bored, I immediately want to go watch Netflix or YouTube and just binge. And it happens anytime I get bored for even like a minute. And then I'm like, wait, no, can't do that. What should I do instead? Thankfully, I have some projects and academic things that I'm working on right now which kind of distract me. So I don't feel those compulsions as often as I thought I would when I first started feeling them. But yeah, it is a lot more frequent than I thought. And I guess that shouldn't be a surprise to me since I'm a filmmaker and I love films. But it kind of did surprise me a little bit.
Probably 8 hours a day, I would have thought, in one form or another. Not on the same thing, but as a combination, probably, yeah, it's got to be about 8 hours a day, I would have thought, with laptops and phones and whatever, Xboxes and stuff.
On my laptop, pretty much from 9 till 6, because I pretty much work on it all the time, and phone pretty much as well. Yeah. Phone maybe a bit longer, because when I get home, obviously, you're on Snapchat or Facebook and stuff, so you spend more time on it. But yeah, pretty much the whole time I'm awake.
Probably about 4 or 5.
4 or 5? Okay.
Yeah, I'd say about the same really.
Yeah, I'm always on my phone. Like, it literally has to be on all the time. And then my laptop, yeah, like probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I don't know.
Shortly after I began my detox, my wonderful wife Janelle agreed to join me. I asked her what she thought would be the hardest part about her time away from technology.
I think the hardest part will be feeling like I'm missing out on things, feeling like I'm missing events or, not seeing pictures that my friends post or even like news articles or things that I just wouldn't normally come across that I do on social media. I feel like I will be kind of in this vacuum where I just don't really know what's going on with anybody. So yeah, just fear of missing out.
I quickly found that FOMO, or fear of missing out, came up a lot in my research, and I wondered what psychological experts thought about this issue.
One of the things we also talk about is fear of missing out, so the idea of missing some kind of information. And that's a fairly natural thing, so as humans, we're very social creatures, we're used to existing in groups. It can be very upsetting for us to think we're missing out on something that's happening. And digital technology makes it easier to find out what our friends are doing and what's going on, but it also makes it harder for us to kind of have a reason to not be checking. So if in theory you can pick up your phone at any time and find out what's going on, people might feel we need to do that all the time, even if necessarily we don't particularly want to. So it's not about we want to be online, we're just frightened of not being online in case we miss something important.
So it's day 5, and I'm feeling a little bit better than I was on day 2. I'm not feeling so burdened, and I don't want to reach out for my phone as much. I'm filling my time mainly with studying, reading, and I'll occasionally go out and play tennis with Janelle. It's been good so far, and the thing that surprised me the most is I'm not feeling any FOMO. I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on anything out there in the internet. I feel like I'm just cruising by, and I'm actually gaining an awareness of other things that I missed when I was on the internet all the time. Like I notice people who are walking down the street and the interesting things that they do, or I just have time to think and grasp things about myself that I didn't realize before. And it's been good, and I think that that's something that we very often take for granted.
This idea of FOMO interested me, and it got me thinking, what about FOMO in the real world? For example, imagine that you're this little stick lady, and you've just entered a waiting room. Nothing is going on, so you pull out your phone. Then the man of your dreams drops out of the sky and onto your couch. But since you're too absorbed in your phone, you miss out on the opportunity to connect. Now imagine that you didn't get on your phone. You and this dreamy man make a connection instead. It makes you wonder, how valuable is your digital life? Is missing out on people, real connections in the real world, really worth the few seconds of amusement on your device?
So it's day 8 and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm actually surprised at how good I'm feeling. I've been getting better ever since day 2. You may have noticed that I was a little bit low at the beginning there, but ever since I've just been feeling better. And it's been really nice. I've also been feeling a little bit more clear in my mind. My brain seems to be less cloudy or maybe bogged down, if that's the right word. I'm not sure exactly, it's hard to quantify, but my mind does feel a little bit more clear. There's really only been one snag that I've run into, and it was just in regards to an event that I was invited to on Facebook before this whole thing started. I had to figure out some details for that event, but I couldn't look at Facebook. So it took me a few minutes to navigate how to do that, but once I did it, I realized that it wasn't a very big deal, so it kind of didn't matter. Actually, while I was at that party, I met a friend named Elliot, and he agreed to join me on this journey, or at least part of it. And I'm going to be talking with him later today, and we can maybe get some good contrasting opinions there. I can see how my experience was, talk to him about it, and he can tell me about his experience and how that differs, and how it's the same, and I think that'll be pretty interesting to look at.
So I'm going to be going off of social media primarily for the next month, so that's going to include Facebook, Twitter, anything like that. I'll also be cutting out websites, so that'll be primarily news sites and Reddit or near the information sites. Video streaming in YouTube, so that'll include Netflix as well. I'll cut that out, and I'm going to try to minimize phone, so text or phone calls for most of the time. I have a feeling that for the first couple of days, I'm going to keep trying to open up websites to go, nope, that's not supposed to happen. So I'll probably I'll feel my hands going towards the keyboard and like, no, I need something else to do here. But apart from that, I'm not actually anticipating that much difficulty. If anything, I think I might relax a little bit. I think disconnecting is actually quite a, maybe enlightening is not the right word, but it can be quite a relaxing experience because it cuts out so much noise.
The other day I was sitting on my couch and a notification popped up on my phone. I'd apparently forgotten to turn off notifications for that app. I was surprised at how difficult it was for me to not click on that app. Just the sight of that little red dot compelled me to click it. Businesses seem to know this. A simple search for the power of push notifications brings up pages and pages of content on how businesses can use notifications to draw in their client base. It seems as though it's extremely hard for us to ignore those little alerts on our devices.
It's day 15. I've made it to the halfway point, well, actually past the halfway point, and I'm feeling great. So far, I haven't been feeling depressed or anxious or anything like that, so it's been good. And I think that 2 weeks of a digital detox has been helpful for me. I'm feeling refreshed, and I'm not feeling very burdened by other things. I'm feeling pretty centered for the most part. And yeah, it's been good. I think the only thing that I still miss a lot is on-demand television and films. I really do miss that quite a bit. So I thought that the absence of these things, games and social media and just being able to watch YouTube videos at will, would be pretty demoralizing, but it's not. It's kind of the videos part's sort of a hindrance, but everything else is just fine. If it weren't for the fact that people reach out to me and try to get into contact with me on social media frequently, I'm not sure that I would really want to use it. I just don't see an absence in my life without it. The only thing I kind of wish is that I could maybe text a bit. That's a little bit inconvenient, but it's not really that bad.
It's been easier to stay off of Facebook for some reason, and I don't know if that's just because of the political climate right now and just all the noise out there. I feel a little more peaceful without Facebook. It's been harder to stay off Instagram than I thought, because I think that's just really kind of a fun app to just scroll through, and it requires, not a lot of reading or interaction. It's just looking at pictures. There have been times where I have gone to, cook a meal or do something that I'm like, this would be nice if I just had some mindless TV on right now, or just watched a movie while I did this. And I do kind of miss that, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to just be alone with my thoughts or listen to music. And there have been times when I've been out walking or been traveling someplace and I see something and I'm like, oh, I should take a picture of this and share it on Instagram. Because I don't know, I feel the need to share those things with other people. And while I have taken some of those pictures and thought, I will share this when this is done, there are also other times when I've thought, if I just stand here and look at this and really absorb it and take it in, I think I will enjoy this a lot more than just thinking about how my camera is going to capture it.
First thing in the morning, I found myself reaching for a phone or reaching for the laptop just to connect it to the internet. And it took a lot of effort not to do that. And even when I was working, just to not switch out and then go to social media for a minute or go to YouTube to check a reference and then just get distracted to something else was really hard. And in the end, I definitely didn't go cold turkey on that. I think the first thing which got to me was just how much thinking space gets freed up by not having social media in there constantly. I knew that it took, it was there on my mind, but the extent to which that permeates my day-to-day life was a little bit surprising. Even just reducing the amount of social media that I had by just a little bit even made a huge difference. I'm finding I'm able to stay a little bit more on task. I'm a hell of a lot more on schedule than I was previously, which is pretty nice. And it honestly just feels nice just to be disconnected from everything else. The amount of noise that I was getting on Facebook and just from everywhere else, it's nice just to be more with my immediate surroundings.
As I dug deeper into my research, I was taken aback by how few professional psychologists and psychiatrists are willing to declare digital addiction to be a real addiction. I was very curious about this, and I was able to get an answer from Dr. John McElhaney.
Well, psychologists try not to define digital addiction because it's not officially a mental health problem at the moment. There's been a lot of debate as to whether or not it should be, but at the moment the main psychological professional bodies in the world don't identify as officially being a mental health problem. I think there's a recognition though that people can become overly reliant. So even if it's not a mental health issue, it is something perhaps going on. In which case you could say it's really about being overly reliant on technology. It's about using technology in a way which causes you harm or causes harm to those around you.
This seems to fall in line with my research, and it also seems to make it less likely that we are all addicts. If we don't fit the behavioral patterns of addicts, then it's unlikely to be true. So do we? There seem to be 3 common factors in all addiction: escapism, trying to leave behind a reality that's unwanted; compulsive behavior, feeling as though you must do something even if it's not essential for survival; and irritability when separated from the addictive vice. I found that several different psychologists recommended analyzing your problem through this lens. If you answer yes to 5 or more of these questions, then you may want to seek help for your problem. First, you feel preoccupied with the internet. You're thinking about previous online activity or anticipating the next session. Second, you feel the need to use your devices with increasing amounts of time in order to achieve satisfaction. Third, you feel restless, moody, depressed, or irritable when attempting to cut down or cease your digital use. Fourth, you stay online longer than originally intended. Fifth, you use technology as a way of escaping problems or relieving feelings of helplessness, guilt, anxiety, or depression. Sixth, you often feel the need to respond immediately to your smartphone. Seventh, you constantly check the phone even when it doesn't ring or vibrate. Eighth, you ignore what's happening in real time in favor of what's happening in the digital world. Ninth, you feel anxious when away from the device or computer. I answered yes to 2 out of 9 of those questions, and one of those wasn't really a yes, more of a maybe. So according to this quiz, am I an addict? Probably not.
So we're in the home stretch. It's day 22. I think I have less than 7 days left until I am finished with this experiment, and I'm feeling great. One of the surprises lately has been that I don't crave social media anymore. I really don't have any impulse to just scroll through Instagram or Facebook. I just don't want to. The only thing I occasionally want to do is share a picture with my friends, but that doesn't have to be done through social media, so it's not really that big of a deal. The other thing that kind of took me off guard was that yesterday I realized that for about 2 weeks I haven't been craving video games. It used to be that before this experiment, whenever I got even slightly bored, I would just pull out my phone and I would start playing something on there. And I don't want to do that anymore. That's just not an impulse, and I don't really feel like I'm missing anything, which was surprising. I didn't expect to kick it, and I also didn't expect to not notice that I had kicked it for 2 weeks, which was kind of surprising. And then the last thing, and probably the most surprising thing, is that I suddenly enjoy my lectures a lot more, which is strange because I definitely have noticed that the subject matter is actually getting less interesting in terms of what I'm most interested in doing. And so you'd think that I would be automatically less interested in what's going on in the lecture, but I'm not. I tune in a lot more and I'm more engaged, which is just weird. And I didn't expect that even a little bit, but it's happening. And so I guess one possible conclusion is that when I'm entertaining myself less, I become more interested in other things, even if they seem mundane compared with other entertainment.
For a month?
Yeah.
If you don't work, it's okay. If you're on holiday in Greece or somewhere, it's okay. But if you work, I think it's very difficult. I don't know, I cannot imagine how it would be.
I think it would be difficult now. I would love to do that. It's not just me. I think everybody lives their lives with the technology now, so to give it up would be hard.
No.
No. I don't even want to think about that, no.
As my research continued, I began to wonder if there were technological solutions to our current digital problems. It turns out that programming scholars at Bournemouth University are working on just that.
Unlike other things that might be problematic, like smoking or alcohol or whatever, software is something that we can actually control in some way, so that we could actually have the software to be reactive and to therefore have some nominally intelligent behaviour perhaps, and that would mean that we could get to the point where software could actually be part of the solution.
So we look at the problem from a technology design perspective, and we argued the case that software could come with warning labels and interactive messages telling people whether there is something wrong in their usage and whether they could be under what we call impaired decision making. So take for example the Pokemon Go as a game where gamers can go to risky places to catch Pokemon. So the game can detect whether they are in a risky area at night and far away from their homes and so on, and send warning messages to them. We're not saying that this is going to block them or to prevent them from using the game, but it's just to raise their awareness so they can take a decision which is informed decision.
This is it. This is the final day. It's the last day of my digital detox. I think I have about 7 hours left until I can use technology again. And I'm really excited, but I'm not excited because I get to use that technology again. I'm excited because I feel like I've accomplished something. I've just felt really good this whole time, and I feel really refreshed, and I feel like I've grown and learned about myself, and this whole experience has just been very rewarding. I am a little bit excited to get back on things like video streaming and texting. Video streaming because I just miss it. I'm a filmmaker, I enjoy that. And then texting just because it's a little bit more convenient than other forms of communication. But I'm really just excited that I've done this and that I've accomplished something and that I feel like I've grown and learned about myself. I also think that when I start back on technology again, I'm actually going to be limiting myself still. I think that I've decided I really don't need more than 20 minutes a day of social media, so I'm going to be putting a little app on my devices that kind of cuts me off after that point, and the same goes for video games. I've just discovered that I'm more productive. I have a greater thirst for things other than entertainment, and it's just been very rewarding, and I really would recommend it to anybody. Also, I'm very excited to see how my memory tests go and see if there's any difference in the before and after. So I'm looking forward to it all, and yeah, I really do recommend any sort of digital detox for anybody out there who uses technology on a regular basis.
The questions I posed at the beginning of this experiment have complicated answers, but suffice it to say that my mood has generally improved and I felt more at peace during the latter parts of my detox. As for complications, my life was slightly less chaotic than before. It felt like a simpler period of life where the world wasn't quite so overwhelming. Having reached the end of my detox, I sat down and took my memory tests. While taking them, I found that my performance didn't feel very different than my previous attempt. The results of my test confirmed this impression. I performed slightly better in number recall, and my reaction time was a bit faster, but my verbal recall dropped by 2%, and my visual recall score decreased by a significant number of points. The results were unfortunately rather inconclusive. The only notable difference in score was the visual recall, but the other differences didn't seem to be significant enough for me to say whether or not my memory changed over the course of the experiment.
As I say, it was a little bit insane how, I think, ingrained it was. Like, first thing when I wake up in the morning, I would reach for my phone to catch up on Facebook or anything else. I have a few spare minutes. I go straight onto YouTube or Netflix, and just have that running in the background even. And not to say that it's something you necessarily need to quit, but I think being aware of how much you're into that and how much of that you consume. I mean, for me, that was really, I think that was a very productive thing to realize, just because I didn't realize the extent to which I was into that and how hard it was to actually let that go.
I don't feel like I missed out on as much as I thought I would. When I jumped back onto social media this morning, just briefly, it was just kind of the same. Everybody talking and sharing, and there's very little listening, and I feel like I've become a better listener this past month, and so I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to find a balance going forward. So it was really good.
Are we all addicts? Probably not. Some of us may be, and this addiction is real and can be quite damaging, but most of us probably just have a bad habit.
That's not to say that this bad habit isn't a problem. It definitely is, and the results of my experiment have shown me that my life is much better without constant technology. But the word addiction has a very specific definition, and it's important to remember that. After all my research and experiences, it seems to me that true addiction to technology and addiction to something like alcohol have a lot in common. In moderation, alcohol is harmless, and studies have shown that it can actually be a health benefit. In excess, however, it's quite damaging. Most of us recognize this when it comes to alcohol. But perhaps the same thing is true of technology. When used in moderation, it can be extremely life-enhancing, arguably more so than alcohol. But when used in excess as a form of escape, it can cause harm to the addict and their loved ones.
Everything I've learned over the past few months has pointed me to the same idea, that when it comes to technology, just like so many other things, moderation is key. But in the immortal words of LeVar Burton, don't take my word for it.